Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Ron Mars. You are listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
In brightest day,
in blackest nights,
no evil shall escape my sight.
But those who worship evil's might,
beware my power.
Green Lantern's light. Hello and welcome back to Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, Master of the Core. It is.
I am Will. Hey, everyone.
That's right. And this time we'll be covering some more flashback stuff. Legends of the DC Universe 7 through 9, featuring someone's favorite Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen and Green Arrow. And that too, some once again written by Mr. Denny O'Neil. So.
And we have thoughts.
Yes, we do. But before we even get there, we have some new stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm. I got to read Green Lantern number 3.
Oh, what you think?
Art is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm looking forward to the next issue when there's not any John Stewart backup. Because I'm assuming we're going to get more pages. Maybe I'm wrong. Could be, but it wouldn't be the first time today. But I want more. I think is the I want more, or faster, more.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good. It's really good. I am curious about where we're going with this ring. Because is this a throwback to the classic Silver Age ring that could do pretty much anything except now leave the planet, right? How's he going to recharge it? There are things that don't make a lot of sense yet. And we did get with the backup story, the United Planets is apparently running the Green Lantern Corps now. And they sent someone to come after John, and he was not too thrilled with that, I think is the correct.
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, the issues, the War Journal number 1 starts with, remember that ring or whatever from the other universe comes through, and it seems like it's infected a female astronaut with something. So
okay,
yeah,
cool.
So,
I haven't got War Journal yet, number 1, so I need to get that.
Yeah. But yes, John's. Well, we kind of get why John's at home with his mother. It seems like they haven't said what she has, but it seems like she either has dementia or Alzheimer's or something.
Alzheimer's,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, then all of a sudden he's outside at night, and he gets some green chains thrown around him, and I sent you that bit one day on the next page where Lantern Jaren of the reorganized Green Lantern Corps of the United Planets. And he's like, you are under arrest for the unlawful possession of a power ring, and then John breaks out, all charges, obviously the eyes flash and stuff, and then he's like don't you ever come to my mother's house, don't put me in chains. And then he's like I don't have a ring, I don't need a ring. He's like, the Guardians would have known that. Basically punches the guy in the orbit, and he does punch the guy, and he says tell the UP and the other fake lanterns that I don't have a ring and I don't owe them anything. And he's like, if any of you or any other fakes come for me, he's like, I'll show you what a real lantern can do.
So there are lots and lots of questions that still remain after the last volume of Green Lantern.
Yes.
Right? And those are both questions for John and where he is and which John this is. I assume there's still one in the dark sectors because of hypertime, right?
Maybe, yes.
With the new Xanshi and potentially Kat Matui as well. Or maybe that's this John and the other John. I don't think that's the way it is. But, and then Hal and what's going on with him and why Sinestro on Earth. There's, we've got a lot of...
Yeah,
there are a lot a lot of unanswered questions that I think we're going to have to start getting the answers to. Now, granted, we probably would have gotten answers to these already, except for Night Terrors, which was a swerve for 2 months, which, is kind of, while it was great that Jeremy Adams wrote those 2 issues, it was still a swerve from where the book was going. So it delayed plot points, I feel like. So, I mean, it was still good. It was just, I still feel like we're waiting for a lot of the meat of what's going on in this series to kind of be revealed to us at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone's off in their own little corners, so it's like, yeah, we're going to have to start getting some answers here soon. And yeah, again, it's like, what's going on with the rest of the Corps? Again, we get so far, we've basically seen Hal and John on Earth. It's like, what's going on everywhere else?
Exactly. And I think, I haven't seen it, there was a Superboy. Were there lanterns that appeared in Superboy?
I'm trying to remember.
Or Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think there was.
I think it was Kyle, wasn't it?
Was it Kyle? It's been a while since I read it, but the other thing is, I think those might have taken place a while ago, because I think it was one of those ones where it was digital first, and then they put them in the print.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It might have taken place before the Jeremy Adams stuff, and so
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to look up that issue and get it.
But because I do know, Kyle and Guy showed up in that Doom Patrol issue, but I think they even said there was even a editor's note in there that took place before Green Lantern #1. Yeah, so
yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff. But hey, 2 Green Lantern books in 1 month.
Yes.
Thumbs way up,
right? We're getting there, yeah. And as I told you, we get a appearance of a certain Parallax in Green Arrow #4.
Yes. 90s Parallax.
Yeah, well, he shows up and Oliver Queen even says, he's like, no. He's like, I know who. He's like, you're not the real Hal Jordan. He's like, you're just like a weird alien parasite. And then a Parallax is like, well, was I a weird alien parasite when I reignited the sun? Was I a weird alien parasite when I brought you back to life? And Oliver's even says, no, because Hal told me that was a small piece of him battling for control and stuff.
So wait, if Parallax knows about dying what is this Parallax then? Because Hal has not been, quote unquote, that Parallax since Final Night, right?
Yeah. I mean, supposedly this Parallax met an older Oliver Queen in the future. So yeah, that was my question. I was like, at first I was like, oh, is this going to be like 0 hour Parallax, traveling through time? But I don't know I don't know. Could it be at some point? It can't be during the Spectre stuff, could it? Or like right before Rebirth? Again, they really don't explain it. Hopefully they might explain it soon.
Gotcha.
You might like this issue too, because the Legion of Superheroes makes an appearance too. So,
okay, which Legion? Reboot, original, extra crispy. I don't know.
Who does that Brainy look like to you?
Is that maybe I don't know. I really don't know which Legion that is. Maybe is it the Bendis Legion?
It maybe. Yeah, maybe. Exactly. But no, supposedly Parallax is like, an older Oliver Queen asked them to like give him a little bit of energy and like to like save I don't know if it's to save Star City or save the family, like his whole family, like like him, Roy Harper, everyone has to be like separated and stuff. But Oliver's like, come on, let's fist fight. He's like, what? He's like, if I win, you give me all the answers. He's like, and Parallax is like, if I win, he's like, you can leave me here stranded, and I think they're like standing in the future or something, and like a ruined city. So they're like fist fighting for a while, but then Parallax like freaks out.
Oh, does the bug thing?
Yeah.
All right, cool. This is Green Arrow number what?
4.
Number 4.
Yeah,
do you know what the Superboy issue was? Or was it Superman, Man of Tomorrow?
I can't. Was it Superboy, Man of Tomorrow? But I can't remember what issue it is.
Oh, okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I think they usually have a pretty good running monthly thing on the blog of OA about what's coming up on Green Lantern stuff. So I'll check that out.
But yeah, right before he disappears, after Parallax freaks out, like Oliver goes, you're not. He goes, see, you're not Hal Jordan. He goes, not only did Hal Jordan knew how to throw a punch, he knew how to take a punch.
That is true.
All right. So should we get to the to our issues tonight?
Yes, I do have thoughts, many thoughts. Let me kick it off with this. I don't think that Denny O'Neil has a really good handle on Hal. Well, sorry, I don't think Denny O'Neil had a really good handle.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not. Unfortunately, he's not still with us at this point. But because this Hal doesn't really question authority. I mean, I know it's supposed to be early in his career, but a defining characteristic of him from the moment his father dies in the plane crash is he questions authority all the time. That's who he is. That's what he does. He can't not do it. And even to see Oliver Queen, oh hey, I sell weapons. Oh gosh, those might kill people. I'm like,
really, Tony Stark? Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I just don't buy, I guess, the naivety of either of these characters, even at this early point in their career. So it just.
Well, I mean, I think it's like especially the Hal thing, like we talked about with Hard Traveling Heroes. I mean, we're gonna have to do some of that someday. But yeah. I mean, like we say, he plays Hal Jordan as such the straight man to Oliver Queen's, raging liberal. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just doesn't. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. And the story seems like it's very much a throwback. And I think it's. I mean, I put it on par with Hard Traveling Heroes, right? Mm-hmm. But I really don't think Hard Traveling Heroes is aged well. I mean, it's important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away the importance of it because of what it did at the time. But those stories really just. I mean, the art. Because the art is timeless. It's Neil Adams, right? But the plot, the script, it just hasn't aged that well, at least in my opinion. Again, not to take anything away from the historical nature of what Hard Traveling Heroes did for comics, superhero comics, the direct market, comics in general. It's just that. Looking back 50 years later, it's because that's what we're doing. Those stories really have not aged, I think, very well. I mean, we still have the problems that they try to address. I mean, you look at overpopulation, you look at the cults, you look at we still have those things, but the way in which the oversimplified way, I think, in which O'Neil approached those stories is the part that hasn't aged well, and this is another oversimplified version of that. It's that same approach, at least in my opinion. Now, the art's great. Mm-hmm. We get a classic, Oliver Queen, but again, we get O'Neil's take on Hal, which is Green Arrow Cosmic Square, play backgammon. I mean, this is not the rebellious Hal Jordan that
he should be chasing skirts with Oliver Queen.
Exactly, yeah. Or the polyamorous version of Hal Jordan that we got from Grant Morrison, in the Grant Morrison run. So it's a weird throwback kind of story. I mean, and I get that that's kind of the point of Legends of the DC Universe, kind of these timeless tales from anywhere in their histories, but I don't necessarily buy this Hal Jordan because of all of the development that Hal has had, which is both prequel and sequel, to this story, because we get some retroactive continuity of Hal and why he is the way he is to prepare him for, as part of Rebirth and then the Green Lantern series itself, post Rebirth. So, just out of curiosity, when did this came out during during the late 90s when Hal was technically dead, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Yeah, this is 1998, so that's a little over 20 years after Hard Traveling Heroes. So,
yeah. So I mean, at this point, this issue is almost 30 years old. But I really feel like that, O'Neill's approach was the same that he had in Hard Traveling Heroes. And again, I will shout this to the rafters that O'Neill's approach to Hal did not do him any favors in the Green Lantern book.
Yeah, I think it's like it surprised me that it's like 20 some years after Hard Traveling Heroes, and he really didn't try to modernize the Hard Traveling Heroes model at all. It seemed like,
yeah.
But again, I just don't know if it's just like the more powered, the more cosmic you get with the character. I don't know if Denny O'Neil had quite the handle on it, because I know he did a brief run on Superman. He said he was never comfortable with. He did the whole white suit depowered Wonder Woman thing, which Lilith Hellfire still burns in effigy to this day. Like he has classic runs on Batman. I'm sorry, he had classic runs on
Batman. My favorite character.
I mean, he did The Question. I mean, again, if he's street level, it seems like he's all right. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that, you look at some of his run, The Question. You're right. His Green Arrow books.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of really great kind of this gritty street level kind of stuff, and I think that was where he was most comfortable. His Batman is classic with with Neil Adams. Right.
Yes.
Batman. My favorite character.
Basically, yeah. I mean, he helped usher in the Dark Knight again after all the 66 Batman show and everything, and yeah.
Exactly. So I think you make a really great point there that his Green Lantern ultimately was powered down. The Guardian said we're going to make it even harder for you to use the ring, which don't get me started on that, but. And that's a kind of another. I know this is we're turning this into kind of a critique of Hard Traveling Heroes, so I guess it's okay. But I've always been slightly annoyed with his portrayal of the Guardians, and now don't get me wrong, I've also slightly annoyed with Jeff Johns' portrayal of the Guardians as well. For similar reasons, right?
Well, it seems like ever since Rebirth in 2005, 2006, it's like you seem like you get Guardians for a while, and then either there's some huge conspiracy where it's like, oh yeah, we have an evil plot, or oh hey, we're gonna get
evil Guardians
dead or disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it boggles my mind that beings that are literally billions of years
old, and they never learned their lesson.
They either never learn their lesson or they learn something from, us apes, right? Us primitives. I would think that they would have learned that, several million years ago, maybe even a billion, I get what.
Although after how many thousands of years, humanity has not learned lessons from itself.
That's true. Good point. I guess I'm disappointed in the simplified approach to the Guardians, because they're ancient magical Smurfs that should have a lot of knowledge, right? And maybe and not just knowledge, living that long, seeing the universe, you'd think they would probably have some wisdom too.
Don't you step in that power battery again.
Exactly.
Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop me? No, but don't you dare.
Yeah.
Don't you dare blow up our work of billions of years. You're going to stop me? No.
No. Yeah, we're just going to okay, whatever. So yeah, I don't want to take away from the historic importance of Hard Traveling Heroes because of what it was able to usher in, more realism, more not necessarily adult storytelling, but storytelling with more adult sensibilities.
Yeah.
Right?
I think this story is supposed to be like an untold tale of like it's bridging the gap between like Oliver Queen, like, I don't know, I was gonna say Golden Age, but I think early Silver Age before he got the beard and stuff. But then after I forget how many years, then he shows up in a Brave and the Bold issue, and he's got the he has the new look, the beard, and everything. So I think it was kind of bridging that gap.
Was pre-Justice League number, Brave and the Bold number 28? Is that the first Justice League? Anyway,
maybe. Yeah.
So this was the first. This was pre-Hal and pre-Ollie. Pre-Justice League, Al and Holly.
Yeah.
Hal and Ollie. I wish I could talk today. So, I think it's supposed to be their first meeting.
Yeah.
And how,
Is that why you think, now that we say it, that why Denny O'Neil didn't try to do like an updated version of Hard Traveling Heroes? Because he's like, okay, they acted a certain way in Hard Traveling Heroes, so this is supposed to take place before that. So
I think that's probably the case. So he didn't go back and kind of and to be fair to Denny O'Neil, we hadn't got the Hal Jordan of Rebirth and post Rebirth.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we had the Hal Jordan, the '90s series Hal Jordan. Who
was kind of wishy-washy for a while.
Yeah, and who, in Emerald.
Yeah, but damn it, Will, this flashback story takes place pre-Oregano, so come on.
That's true.
I mean, Hard Traveling Heroes was after the original Oregano spicing. Yeah. This was before that.
That was in 75, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was right before Oregano. This story tonight is pre-Oregano.
Yeah, so, I mean, again... Well, I mean, okay. So, to be fair to O'Neil, Hal was wishy-washy. Well, he was wishy-washy, kind of. But like with Hard Traveling Heroes, because that really kind of started his doubting, and of course he was not a pilot anymore. He was. Don't get me started on all those things.
Was he the insurance salesman or the trucker? Come on.
Or the toy salesman.
Yes, toy salesman.
So. I kind of think that O'Neil's portrayal of Hal, because the book was seismic, kind of limited Hal for decades, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and until we got a streamlined Hal from Rebirth and post Rebirth.
Yeah. And I mean, thinking about it, it's like Hal didn't have a lot of time for a lot of characterization for the longest time because, once John comes in and takes it over, gets the ring full time, Hal's not Green Lantern until right around 200. Then you add all those other Green Lanterns on Earth, so he has to share that spotlight. I mean, Action Comics Weekly didn't help, and then again,
we don't talk about Action Comics.
I know. First rule of Sector 2814: we don't talk Action Comics. But then even Green Lantern #1 rolls around, and he's still sharing the spotlight with John and Guy.
Yep, exactly. And I think we touched on this going way back. Turn the Wayback Machine back to episode 2, 3, or 4, somewhere in there, where we talked about the road back, right?
Yes, number 4. Yeah.
Much younger me, remembered, loved the road back and thought it was just awesome. It didn't, when we went over it, it didn't hold up to my memory of it. And, I think that's part of the writer who we will not name. His approach to, plotting and just the amount of freaking words he threw on a page, right? I don't think he did Hal a lot of favors, right? Either. His characterization of Hal was this, older, gray-templed, weary veteran kind of guy. And obviously it didn't work because we got Emerald Twilight. And, then we had Kyle, which, now that we've been through all of that, Kyle's been a great addition to, the Green Lantern lore.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is just it's kind of an oddity because, it's a Hal that hasn't existed, at least in, my mind, and I think most of fandom's mind for, almost 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I still think that's, O'Neil's approach to Hal is not is not something I necessarily agree with.
Yeah,
that's an easy way to say that.
It's just, again, it's the contrast Oliver Queen to, so.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, not to say that, they're both dumb in this story. I mean, they do some dumb stuff. Just like, it's like, really? You're not going to, like, double check? You're not going to, yeah, I mean, the oversimplified approach and just the naivety that both of them kind of show. And then there's no follow-up, too. That's something that annoys me. Ollie's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, you want to do some synopses? Yeah, because, the first, I was going to mention that, too. Yeah, the first issue, there's no follow-up on that. All right, so, three parts here, kids. First part, Legends of the DC Universe, number 7 from August 1998. Peacemakers Part 1, Call to Arms. And as we've said, writer Dennis O'Neil, penciler Greg Land, inker Dick Giordano, colorist Gregory Wright, letterer Clem Robbins, and editors Kevin Dooley and Darren Vincenzo. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. Like, the Greg Land art didn't look like typical Greg Land art to me. Like, I don't know if it was just a happy coincidence, or if they were trying for something like this. But I don't know if it was the Dick Giordano inks, but it kind of looked like they almost like they were trying to do like a modernized Gil Kane, maybe. Yeah, it was grittier, and I think this was probably before he adopted kind of his, photorealistic swipey style. Sorry, I'm sure people have read about that by this point. Yeah. But I didn't know if they were doing that on purpose, like trying to do almost like a 90s Gil Kane. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it doesn't look like a 90s book. I mean, honestly. Yeah. I mean, I think it looks like a throwback book, and it reads like a throwback book because, I mean, in a lot of ways, it is kind of a throwback. Yeah, because I think most of this series was like untold tales, from back in the day DC Universe. So. Yeah, and also, I need to get this out there. Hal and Ollie pretty much fail in every way possible during this story. I mean, lots of people die because of their stupidity, and there's no real learning. Oh, hey, we're going to embarrass this guy, and that'll be enough to no, he's murdered literally hundreds of people at this point. It just, again, it's that oversimplified approach which kind of marred the story, marred it for me anyway. And Ollie just does not care that his girlfriend had to go see the doctor, and we never find out why. Yeah, okay, I was looking. That's not in the synopsis. But as Oliver Queen's about to leave, she keeps saying she's going to the doctor. Yeah, and he just like blows her off. I was like, is this supposed to be a pregnancy thing? Which again, we never call back to it. We never. Yeah. So I don't know why that's in there. Was that just? I guess is that to show he's self-involved and he just goes and he's gone for 3 months? Yeah. Is she pregnant? Is she dead? Is she dying? Who knows? Yeah. All right. There's some notes here too. All right, here's the synopsis. Hal Jordan is in Minglia, demonstrating new military technology for the United States government on behalf of Ferris Aircraft. He also begins to take the Minglian government's side in its civil war. Meanwhile, Oliver Queen heads for Minglia as Queen Industries is beginning to make a loss due to the rebels' activities. The two are both present at a government encampment when it is attacked by the rebels, and both separately go into action as Green Lantern and Green Arrow. Arrow pursues some of the rebels into the jungle, but he runs over a landmine. His truck is overturned, and he finds himself at gunpoint. So that's quite the cliffhanger there, kids. Yeah. Although, I mean, always with flashback stories, it's like, he's not dead. Or he's not going to get killed. Yes. They're not going to kill him. He's not going to die. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's... this story was in a collection. Okay, it's collected in Batman, The Ring, the Arrow, and the Bat. Batman, my favorite character. Okay, I wonder if it was like a Denny O'Neil collection, maybe, or something. Probably. That sounds about right. Okay. The story occurs in the fictional country of Minglia. The name is similar to Mingli Sar, which is a mountain located in northern Pakistan and adjacent to China. Due to the jungle terrain, the rebels' worship of a Chinese god, and Oliver Queen's lengthy flight time, it makes it likely that Minglia is located in the vicinity of that mountain. Okay. Dennis O'Neil's original script set this story in Vietnam during the Vietnam War and was intended
it had a very Vietnam feel to it, yes.
And was intended as a prequel to Hard Traveling Heroes. It is unclear why the setting was changed from Vietnam to a fictional country. So
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. So yes, but yes, this exactly as we said, you could tell this was intended as a prequel to Hard Traveling Heroes.
So I hadn't read that, so we nailed it. Without reading that.
Yeah, no, I just noticed that now. So yeah, it's. Well, of course. I mean, it's Dennis O'Neil. Denny O'Neil. He's writing these two characters in a story pre-Hard Traveling Heroes.
Yeah,
it's kind of going to have similar tones. Yeah. So any other thoughts on this story? I mean, we start right in the middle. It's like page 1, panel 1. A missile was shooting at Hal Jordan's plane.
Yeah, I mean it's right. It's yeah.
There's no build up. It's like Hal's about to get shot down.
But he's that good that he doesn't get shot down.
Well, Power Ring kind of helped too.
Exactly, and that brought me. So he saves himself, but he lets the plane crash.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it was.
I mean, although if you put the plane down, they're gonna be like, "Oh, how'd you land the plane in the middle of the jungle?"
Green Lantern saved me. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was just there are some weird choices made. I think it was strange. It was very strange.
Yeah, and again, I just guessed O'Neil was playing with the naivete of youth, but it's like just how going along with the story. It's like, oh, the big government good, those damn rebels bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, it didn't hit well with me, and it was. O'Neill's writing for. I mean, he's writing for almost 2 generations ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, maybe 50 years, maybe 2.5 generations at this point. It along with the its sequel to Hard Traveling Heroes, which is actually because this is a prequel, just have not aged well because comics have become more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Much more sophisticated. They were much more sophisticated in the 90s, and they're even more sophisticated now. So yeah, it's this odd throwback. It really is, and kind of this odd throwback to simpler times, I guess. Simpler times where they're trying to add complexity, but that complexity has already been incorporated in and part of comics for 2 decades by this point, if not more, almost 3 decades.
Oh yeah.
So it's a weird kind of throwback that and it didn't hit for me. I was like I didn't really buy any of it. I'm like this doesn't make sense. What? Why is this happening? So.
But can I give a big shout out to it said Hugh Fleming for these painted covers?
Oh yes, absolutely. And the art on these series was really good too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dick Giordano being another member of the Hard Traveling Heroes team. He inked Neil Adams on that. So they had 2 members of the team. So the art was really good. It told the story. It's not Neil Adams.
No.
But nobody's Neil Adams except Neil Adams. But I think at the time, and I do remember buying this at the time. I think at the time I was probably disappointed, because it was. I just didn't feel like it was great. Having reread it now, almost 30 years later, again, 30 and whatever. I was like, no, I don't buy the premise. I don't buy the characterization. His Green Arrow sounded like the Green Arrow that I'm kind of used to. That is kind of the standard Oliver Queen at this point. But yeah, I was like, hey, this sounds like Vietnam. This really sounds like Vietnam, And Hal just doesn't feel like Hal, especially the Hal that I think as readers have gotten used to since Rebirth.
Do you think they were worried about people taking it the wrong way? So if they said it in a real country, so they're just like, yeah, let's make up a fictional country.
I don't know. If so, I feel like that's kind of paradoxically, a fearful way to go, which is not what you should do with Green Lantern.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you did there. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I mean, if historically you look at the Vietnam War and its impact on, American policy and Americans in general, and it's a big deal, right? So either set it, in Vietnam and then tie it to that. If that's the story you want to tell that story. But then
and again, it's like sliding time too. It's like if you set it in Vietnam, are you firmly entrenching that in the 70s then?
Exactly, you are, or late 60s even.
Yeah,
at that point. So, and that's something.
Is that another thing where it's like if you do a fictional country, it can be timeless.
Yeah, but that's something that O'Neil never really addressed in Hard Traveling Heroes was the Vietnam War. I mean, he went after, overpopulation. He went after, crime, which don't get me started on, crime in the 70s is much different than crime in the 2020s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's his. I think he much preferred and was a lot more comfortable with that street level stuff, which you mentioned earlier. It's when you'd look at the more fantastical, like Green Lantern or Superman or Martian Manhunter or any of those characters that are not human first, or with abilities. Hal's obviously human, but he's got a ring. I think it shows in his execution that he wasn't comfortable.
Well, and like you pointed out, I mean, in a lot of his runs like that, I think he depowered people. Wonder Woman, he obviously did. Hal, the Guardians depowered Hal. I think even in his limited Superman run, he kind of depowered Superman So even when he had to deal with somebody like that, he depowered him. Yeah.
So again, this is an interesting artifact.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it's certainly required reading, and I think ultimately. I don't think it hurts the reputation of Hard Traveling Heroes, but I don't think it helps it either.
Yeah, no. And the other problem is like how Hard Traveling Heroes was how many issues over?
Yeah, and this was just 3 issues, and it was not a whole lot happens, right? I mean, it was. So, I mean, is it because it was more decompressed? Did it need to be decompressed? I mean, I don't know. I get the point that he's trying to make, but I don't think it's a point that needed to be made in 1998. Okay, I really don't.
It just seems so weird. It doesn't seem quite balanced, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem like it knows if it wants to be an Oliver Queen or a Hal Jordan story.
Exactly, and I would say it pretty solidly, in my opinion, seems to be more of an Oliver Queen story, with Hal just showing up and being the straight guy who doesn't really get much in the way of characterization other than he's a square, pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know if O'Neil's met many pilots, but anyway, go ahead.
All right. Let's get to the next one. All right. Legends of the DC Universe number 8 from September 1998. Peacekeepers Part 2 Warzone by the same team. Green Arrow is taken to the rebel camp where he is nursed back to health by Sister Angelina. He also meets a child whose parents were killed in the fighting and agrees to teach him archery. Then a monk who has the respect of both sides is to be brought in to mediate peace talks, and General Zhao wants him dead, as the war makes him a wealthy man. Hal Jordan returns to Minglia with another Ferris aircraft, but takes no part in the happenings as a civilian, though Green Lantern does take sides. The rebel base comes under attack, and Green Arrow sees Sister Angelina, a peacekeeper, killed by a Queen Industries landmine, which causes him to take sides in the conflict, finding himself facing Green Lantern.
Tony Stark, excuse me.
Yes, exactly. Who Dennis O'Neil also worked on Iron Man, so.
Exactly, yeah, and he wrote some really great Iron Man stories. I think he wrote the ones with when Tony gave up the armor.
Yeah, and Rhodey took over. Rhodey
took over, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and those are good. I still the David Michelini, I never pronounce it, Michelini, however you pronounce it. But his in my mind, his Iron Man is like the quintessential Iron Man. You know, you've got Demon in a Bottle in that story. You've got, and I was actually looking. This is going to go way off topic, so
that's
prepared. Fine. I was looking at that classic Iron Man armor.
Yeah,
they've never improved on that. He's had like so many different armors now. I can't even keep track.
Well,
but that armor had such a distinct look. That
with like the like the shoulders,
you had the side pods on the, I mean, it's just, and that's Bob Layton, that's early John Romita Jr. art, and the stories that were being told by Michelini just really kind of got at who and what Iron Man was. It was kind of there's just so many good stories, and then he comes back after O'Neil. And, we get Armor Wars.
Yes.
And we get, some really great stories there, too.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, I will admit that I do have a certain fondness for the Silver Centurion armor. It's not the classic, but it's still pretty good. And then I think they did a pretty decent job updating that classic, post-Armor Wars. It was still the red and gold. But, none of the newer armors have really kind of hit, personally, for me. So
not as much, like that classic, I think that with the red and gold one, I think it was so good that even different artists can interpret it well. Like I know Justin and I covered the first few issues of West Coast Avengers, and it's like certain artists couldn't quite nail down that Silver Centurion armor. Sometimes it looked a little.
They made it
bulky.
Either too bulky or no neck. Yeah, exactly.
Or his head the helmet looked like a bullet. Yeah, or something. Yeah, it just
But yeah, the classic. I mean, you had Kirby drawing it. You had Gene Colan drawing it. You had all these great artists drawing Iron. Don Heck.
They needed a challenge. They even tried to put in a nose on that thing.
Exactly, and roller skates. So yeah, I mean that's way off topic. But O'Neil. If you look at those Rhodey stories, you're not dealing with. You're not dealing with a lot of powered opponents. If they are, they're low-powered opponents. Like someone like Backlash, human, very much human without, using tech of some kind. But we got after O'Neil's run, we got the Ghost, which is awesome. We got a lot of really great characters coming out of Michelini's run there, and.
Well, and again, kind of not like depowering him, but when he wrote that Rhodey stuff, Rhodey doesn't have the know-how of that armor like Tony Stark does.
Yeah, or the engineering abilities.
Yeah.
Again, I think we're probably beating this horse to death at this point, but he really, I think, wrote non-powered characters much better than any kind of powered, superheroes as opposed to, Batman or The Question or, Batman, Rhodey or,
my favorite character.
Or Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I really, if you want the flavor of hard traveling heroes 20 plus years after the fact, almost 30, I think this does an excellent job of really kind of giving you, this is another hard traveling heroes chapter that we never seen before, but I don't think we needed it in 1998. Honestly,
I guess just Denny O'Neil wanted to revisit this era, maybe because I could see them just throwing out, be like, oh hey guys, we need Untold Tales from stuff, or just stuff sitting there, and he's like, oh I'll do like a prequel to hard traveling heroes.
Yeah, I never got to tell the story where Hal and Ollie first met. I'll do that, and I can't really recommend this one.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think it adds anything.
Yeah.
And I think it only I think it kind of detracts from Hal, and it's just Ollie is Ollie. It's the same Ollie we've had for, since O'Neil's characterization of him during Hard Traveling Heroes. I mean, that's Oliver Queen. That's the Oliver Queen that we've had for 50 years now.
Yep. All right, so should we do the last one, wrap this up?
You bet.
All right, so Legends of the DC Universe number 9 from October 1998. Peacemakers Part 3, Battle's End. Green Lantern and Green Arrow face off in the rebel camp, where Arrow tries to persuade Lantern that the latter is fighting for the wrong side, and that the government soldiers are trying to get the Peacemaker. Green Lantern discovers that this is indeed so, and the two of them set out protecting the monk back in Minglia's capital city. However, Lim, one of the rebels, shoots them with an arrow, injuring him, and while the heroes are taking care of the situation, the monk is shot by a government representative in the heart. Hal takes his frustration out on General Zahao, humiliating him in public, and Arrow helps Lim to escape the country. Minglia is denied a real happy ending, but Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen do begin a lifelong friendship. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that summary explained it too well, but yeah, it's the kid Oliver Queen befriended who shoots the monk, yeah.
Why? I that makes no sense to me. I totally, I'm like, why would he do that?
I was like, so was he working for the general? Did he promise him things? Or was it just, oh, hey, children take the wrong lessons from war. It doesn't teach them anything good. You know, it just teaches them violence. And
yeah, and I mean, we had some, quotes at the beginning of each issue, about violence and all that. And, yeah, I know I'm sorry. It just didn't work for me. I mean, I know O'Neil is legendary and Dick Giordano's legendary, and the art was certainly good, but the story did not work.
It just seemed like there wasn't enough room, because it's like we didn't explain that kid's motivations for shooting the monk. Like we said, we never got back to that girlfriend of Oliver Queen's. It's almost like it was supposed to be a 4-parter, and they're like at the last minute they're like, no, we're only giving you 3. So
yeah,
you had to decide what to keep and what. Yeah, just
so yeah. It ultimately, again, I don't think from a quality standpoint, I don't think it much differed from Hard Traveling Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously not Neil Adams on the art, but which just reinforces my opinion that Hard Traveling Heroes, as seismic as it was at the time and as much difference as it made to comics, just hasn't aged well.
Yeah, and again, just certain things are going to age over time, even as good as they are. Cause it's like I was watching Seinfeld the other day, and they were in a video rental store. It's like, it's like, okay.
What are those, Phil? I'm
sure,
not old enough to know what that is. But yeah, I mean, this is, if you absolutely love Hard Traveling Heroes, then you should read this.
Yeah. Without
a doubt, you should. But if you're kind of ambiguous on Hard Traveling Heroes like I am, then, as much as I love, and I do love Hal Jordan, this really isn't necessary. There was really nothing that happened in this that, demanded that this story be told.
Yeah.
At least, in my opinion.
And again, I have to read the rest of this series. I haven't read any of their issues. There is a Flash arc where I did read it. I can't even remember what it was about. But for the most part, this series flew under my radar for the longest time. Mm-hmm. So
I think I remember buying them and then probably reading them and then putting them away and forgetting about them.
Yeah, like I've never heard anyone talk about this series, so I don't think anything.
This series? Doesn't this one have a cover with Abin Sur on a horse? Like in the Old West?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I was looking at them. Yeah, because I was looking at them like, what other Green Lanterns that have? Hold on, pulling this up on the app here. But yeah, there is some kind of cover with. I'm
like, Robinson. Whoa, wait a minute.
I don't know if it's
how long. I don't know how long do Korgarians live? And
I know, that's why I was like, oh, was he? Did he come to Earth before? Okay. Hold on, let's see. There we go. So there's the Superman arc, then a Wonder Woman, then there's that Flash one I have. Hold on. Yeah, number 20. I haven't. The Trail of the Traitor, Part 1. Learn the history behind some of the Green Lanterns of Space Sector 2814, including Hal Jordan's predecessor, Abin Sur, who arrives on Earth in pursuit of a galactic outlaw in 1882.
Yeah, okay. And then wasn't there one where, or did we already read that? I can't remember. Where a cowboy gets the ring for just a little bit while the Lantern heals. I don't think it was Abin Sur, though. That was the Lantern.
No, I don't think. Yeah, that sounds familiar, but I can't remember where we read that.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh, I know why we talked about this series previously. Because remember, there was a Hal Jordan Spectre. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So I was almost going to say,
DeMatteis write that one?
Well, let me see. That was yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we talked about it. So,
and he did reference it in his series. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was almost going to say, we should do that one. So maybe one day we should do that one. Again, it's DeMatteis. So
exactly.
All right. Any other thoughts on this, Will?
No, I think we've cemented my place as a hard traveling heroes detractor. I expect the hate mail to be coming in shortly.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
All right.
Just fundamentally, what Jeff Johns did for Hal and for Green Lantern in general, I think, I don't know that it can be understated, right? It was not seismic for comics; it was seismic for the character and the mythology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we're still talking about it today.
Exactly. All right. Well, next time, kids, we're going to get back to where we were at right after Sinestro Corps War. So, yes, we're going to do Green Lantern Corps 20 through 22. And then in 2 weeks, Green Lantern Corps 23 through 26. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to get to those pesky Alpha Lanterns in Green Lantern 26 through 28. So.
And then it won't be long until Secret Origin, which I am very much looking forward to rereading because I've not read it since I first read it so many years ago.
Yes, 2 weeks after Alpha Lanterns, yes, we will get to Secret Origin. So, all right, kids, send us your thoughts. So we're going to be back where we left off. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics, episodes, social media, merchandise, the Patreon. You never know what you're going to find there, so check it out. Please subscribe. Help us support this thing. So you can find everything at tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. All right, Mr. William Allred, master of the core, master of the Quantum Zone, master of Kickstarter Comics. Where can people get a hold of you?
You can find me at Walred at Gmail and still on Twitter, although that's probably going to go away pretty soon. Blue Sky, I'm on Blue Sky as well. And Facebook and other places that I don't remember setting up. But if you'd like to check out the comics that I write, you can check out Crossover Division at crossoverdivision.com. And you can check out Diary of Night at diaryofnight.com. And finally, obviously you have great taste because you're here listening to us gab about, old comics. So you probably love Marvel's Quasar nearly as much as we do. And if you'd like to find out more, you can go to the Quantum Zone at quantumzone.org. I'll put it in my navel.
Hey, boys, you look at the party? I love the party. They aren't even attempting to enter our orifices.
And, of course,
the Falco.
The Falco. I didn't get an interview for the Falco. Oh, that would be the greatest interview of all time. Sir, defend this.
They aren't even attempting to enter our orifices.
Defend this line from
Fantastic Four.
Star Blast.
It'll be like, it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Everybody was doing it.
Everyone was talking about orifices.
Where did you learn that? I learned it from you.
Learned it from watching you, DeFalco. All right, kids. That's right. Come back next time. Green Lantern Corps 20 through 22. We're back. Find out what effect the Sinestro Corps Wars had on everybody. Now those rings can kill.
Sinestro Corps members.
And there's a bunch there's a bunch of new rules too.
And we got new laws coming. New laws.
See, it won't take an active hand, but those guardians will give you all kinds of stuff. All right, kids, come back next time. And remember, kids, don't be a archer. Take care of your girlfriend. Good night.